Hey everyone, welcome back to Better Together, the podcast that shares the stories, the lessons, and practical advice from founders and leaders that can help you improve your business. I'm your host, Sean Sunsvold, along with my partner in business and in life, Kelly Sunsvold. Today we're joined by Jamie J., founder of Bottleneck Distant Assistance. Jamie has spent over 2 decades helping business owners build remote teams and, more importantly, helping them figure out how to actually delegate, which is something most, if not all of us, were never, ever taught. His story isn't just about business growth, though. After losing everything during the 2008 crisis, Jamie had to rebuild from the ground up. That experience shaped how he approaches business today, focusing on creating companies that are resilient, scalable, and not completely dependent on the owner. Now, through his work, he helps entrepreneurs step out of the day-to-day, build stronger teams, and create businesses that don't rely on them for every decision. So, Jamie, thanks for being here. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Sean and Kelly, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be on and share a bit about my story.
Awesome. Well,
Yes.
we're excited to hear it. We're recording. It's Taco Tuesday and Cinco de Mayo today. So, hopefully you're going to get a chance to take on some of that lovely tasting food today.
Oh, yeah.
But let's
Can't
start.
wait. Yeah, the planets have aligned. It's
They
Taco
have.
Tuesday and Cinco de Mayo.
And Cinco de Mayo. So
Yes.
every Mexican restaurant today should be full of people.
Absolutely.
Full of people. So, well, let's start with this, right? Let's talk through, your current business, Bottleneck Distant Assistance. For people who are hearing about your business for the first time, what is it that you do and how are you helping businesses?
Well, and FYI, one thing that's really helped me too is switching to a dynamic microphone. And that's really good too, because it won't pick up my AC. If my wife's talking in the background, you won't hear her. But the
So
condenser
nice.
microphones are the ones that
They pick up everything.
with guitars. And
Yeah,
Former
I
sound
should have
engineer
had,
right here.
I know, I
Yeah,
should have had
so
Sean buy it. I bought this microphone, so
good deal. Well, I digress. I'm sorry.
you're good. So we can just pick up. So tell us about Bottleneck Digital Assistance.
Yeah, so Bottleneck was actually born because I was not only self-described, but described by my closest friends as the bottleneck to my business, and was having a hard time growing it because every single thing went through me. And so I was part of a mastermind group at the time, and I've been using assistants. We call them distant assistants. We've been sourcing them for over 2 decades now from the Philippines. And I've just never really run a business without their assistants. They're unbelievable. And the guy that was running the mastermind says, "How are you getting this great help?" And I said, "Well, yeah. What are you looking for?" He goes, "Well, I'd really like an executive assistant." And I said, "Sure, no problem. There you go." And he goes, "Man, you should turn this into a business." And I said, "Really? You mean I won't have to build websites anymore?" Yeah. So I did that, turned it into a business in 2016. And then we formalized it as Bottleneck Distant Assistance in 2018. And it's been going great. So we provide dedicated, highly tech-enabled human beings that work in any kind of a supportive, administrative support role, such as executive assistants or project managers, success managers, which is really good for sales support, customer service, social media. Bookkeepers are huge right now. A lot of people looking to kind of delegate their books. So we started that and launched it, and it's just been great. We've gone through several iterations, had lots of challenges, of course, and if it wasn't for Christopher Lochhead and category design, I think we probably would have lost our way. But I'm a big category designer. I absolutely love it. And that's why we created our own category called Delegation Intelligence. And it's a framework that is built around effective delegating. So I've never seen anybody that's graduated an MBA in business or anything like that ever take a class or learn about delegation. And that's one of the biggest challenges I see today is a lot of people, they think they may know how to delegate, but they don't. And there's an art to it.
Definitely.
yeah,
And
delegation can be one of the hardest things leaders have to master, right? And you run out of time and you're like, well, I'm trying to scale this business, but I'm working sun up to sundown and I'm tired. And so it can really lead to burnout, which is not great for obviously the owner of the business. So when someone comes to you, what's usually going on in their business other than needing to delegate things?
So they're most likely in a pretty big growth phase. So they've been around for a while. They're making over seven figures, anywhere from $1 million to about 50 million is where we really focus in on. Their biggest challenges, though, are it's getting it. We call it the founder's trap, and that is where kind of little things start happening, but every decision still comes through them. They don't trust somebody to do it. They think, oh, I can do it faster myself. I'll just get it done. Or they don't want to give their credit card to somebody, or they don't want to give, specific information because it's their baby. And the challenge, and a lot of them have systems and processes that they use every single day, but they don't realize that that's weighing them down. And it starts to be, it's a bunch of little problems in the beginning, but the more they keep going, the more that founder's trap is that hole that they're going to be finding themselves falling into. I would say it's just chaos. And if somebody leaves their organization, they're like, oh my gosh, what do I do? That's happened before quite a bit. We just lost this person. I need to hire somebody really quick. Whoa, hold down. So they have a lack of systems and processes in place. And I think they're just overwhelmed, and it's just getting to be too much for them. I think that's probably the core of when somebody's ready for us.
Yeah.
Awesome. And let's talk on that subject of delegation just a little bit, right? Because I think I can delegate versus what is it that I keep?
Yeah, I love this. And have we dove into this. So delegation, a really good way of figuring stuff out, because it gets in your head, is just doing a brain dump. That's the easiest thing I can tell anybody, is just sit down. If it's on Saturday, tell your family, your kids, whomever, hey, I need an hour, I need 2 hours, I just want to block this down. Or, hey, I'm going to go. And the reason I say this beforehand is because there's a lot of plans. You won't want to say, hey, I can't do that right now, I'm going to do this, right? That might, I love my wife, but I want to make sure I plan correctly, right? And it's really good to really schedule that and plan for it, because it's that important. So what you do is grab your wine or your coffee, your tea, water, sodas, whatever it is, and just be by yourself and just brain dump. Or you can bring your team in and brain dump with them, because a lot of times when you do a team brain dump, things come up you didn't realize that was a bottleneck in the first place. But you write everything down that you do on a daily basis, anything that's repeatable. And what you'll find, as soon as you spend some time doing that, all of a sudden you'll start getting some more ideas, and you start getting some creative juices flowing, because all of that angst is now out. And for everything that you do, you assign 2 values. Number 1, is it something I must do, or can I delegate this to somebody else who can do it just as good? Or number 2, does it give me energy, or does it drain me of energy? And what I like to create is a subset task list, that everything that drains me of energy and stuff that I can delegate, now that list is getting smaller, right? And for every single item on there, do I have anywhere written down or in a video form, anything like that? A lot of times I like to turn on my Zoom and I just record on the screen as I'm going through it, and I say, go up here to log in, you click there, enter your username and passwords, then you go over to the left side of the screen over here and click on this for a new client or something like that. And it's been really, really helpful, because then you take care of it right away. I always say, do something as if it's the last time you're ever going to do it. So imagine that task where you're kind of like, I don't want to do this, but I got to do it. It's part of the gig, right? Those things, if you do it one more time and you document it, so you can start documenting and setting up your delegation library, you start documenting one thing at a time. And now 3-6 months down the road, when you have all of these things documented the way that you do them, it's much easier to bring somebody else on, so you can be confident in the fact that, hey, they're going to do it the same way that you are. And most likely, as they take over, they're going to probably find ways to figure out how to improve it and become more efficient and proficient at whatever activity it is they're doing, because technology is always changing, and they're going to find some way to make it even more efficient for you. So that in and of itself is one of the main underliers for delegation. And then there's a quick 4-step framework in delegation intelligence. Number 1, name the task. Number 2, confirm the instructions. So Kelly, if you were to give me a task, I would say, okay, I understand you want me to send an email to Dr. Dre and, whatever, and put this in there. Is that correct? And you're going to say yes. Now all of a sudden you get more confident, because I just repeated back what you instructed me to do, but it also gives you an opportunity to make sure that I heard you right. And if I misunderstood something or misinterpreted something, you can clarify it right then. So what I'm going to do as a dedicated distant assistant is, now I'm going to go back, I'm going to write all this down step by step, down to the click of a mouse click. And then I'm going to schedule a time with you for step number 3 for you to review and approve the workflow. And then step 4, which is really important, and this is where 99.9% of people fail, create a signal. What is that signal? A signal is what action needs to occur in order for everybody involved in that particular task to know that it's been done. A lot of it's done like in, task management software and things like that. But if you don't have a process set in place, that's why we designed the delegation intelligence category, so that you can just follow the steps there and you won't miss anything. So sorry to ramble, but I just think those things right there are really, really key to getting you to that next level of becoming a functioning delegator.
Honestly, that was an excellent step-by-step for business owners. So if you're listening, go back, take notes, because honestly, that was a great checklist for people. I love the idea of recording. We do that with Loom with our VAs. It was life-changing. And one of the things too that we did is I would take the transcript from Loom and I would put it into Chat GPT and say, okay, create an SOP based on what my video transcript is. I just discovered that, but I love the ideas that you just came up with. I think that is it's gold for business owners. So let's take back just a little bit. Take us back just a little bit. What did your career look like before you started?
Well, before that, I had my own agency. We did a creative web agency, and I had a real estate-based advertising agency where we do marketing and brand guidelines and things like that. And then prior to that, it was corporate America. For 12 years, I was in corporate America. It took me 11 years to figure out how to get out, but it was really neat. The day I left, I started my new company, and my very first client was the corporation that I worked for. It was a great segue and launch into my entrepreneurial spirit. And so it's been, 22 years now that I've been on my own. So it's been a blast.
So I know we touched on this in, early on in the story there, but, there was that moment in 2008 where you just magically got to kiss everything goodbye, right? So walk us through kind of what happened there and what that taught you and how that led you to where you're at right now.
Yeah, great questions. Yeah, 2008, the housing market, the crisis just I lived in a place called Stockton, California at the time, and 1 in 3 homes it was the number 1 city for the most foreclosures. 1 in every 3 homes foreclosed. Well, what was my agency work at the time? It was real estate based. We had all real estate agents and mortgage companies, and we put out a magazine, distributed that to 12,000 people a month. And I think we had like 72 clients at this point. Within 3 months, we lost all of them. Every single one froze. They stopped advertising. And I didn't know what to do. I had to cancel the magazine. We lost it all. I ended up losing I had a little studio apartment, ended up losing that. And at the ripe age of 38, I had to move back in with my parents. After doing everything I could, I tried so hard to keep it all together. I got to the point where one of my friends drove an hour and a half to give me a bag of groceries because I had like 36 cents to my name. And that 36 cents was changed from buying a loaf of bread the day before, and that 36 cents was all I had left. So I was like trying to slowly eat stuff, and it was brutal. And I was like, I'm not giving up. I'm not quitting. And then after he delivered that package, I was like, oh man, thank you so much. God bless, thank the Lord we had good friends and good people around us, or around me at the time. And I just said, you know what? It was one of the toughest things I had to do, but I went ahead and boxed it all up. And I hate that for people that work so hard for their life and they build something and they're not able to be in a position to sell or do anything like that. And it's a shame, especially for entrepreneurs, not having, it's whatever we create, that's what we have. Right? We don't have all the other stuff like you get working and retiring 20 years, 30 years later. And so that's one of my focuses too, is I want to make sure that when someone's building their company, they're building it with systems and processes in place so that if something like this happens, it's not necessarily like foolproof way. I mean, your company still could falter, if there's the right event that occurs and the right storm is there, but at least we can minimize the risk of it, right? And that's why systems and processes are so important. Not only will increase your value, your valuation, but it's also there for something for you to fall back on should you need to. And it's I don't know. That's what I learned from that. And I said, I never want to be in that position again, obviously, but if I am, I'm going to do everything I can in my power to prevent that from happening, or at least minimize the risk.
Yeah, yeah. It's risky already to step out on your own. And, we've had elements like the day I walked out of my full-time job, we had lost like two of our clients. And I was like, what am I doing? My gosh. And, you get confident and you think I can do this, and then I was like, okay, that's okay. We got Sean's job. And a month later, Sean lost his job. And I was like, wait, I exited on my own. And it just does a number on your mental health and your mindset. And, I'm panicking through the whole thing, white knuckle, but we're like, you know what, we can do this. And it's hard, especially when, like you shared, which thank you for sharing that, like the cash runs out and then, you rely on your family or your friends to, bring you some groceries or have a place to stay. How did those experiences really shape the way that you approach business today?
So that you do know, I've been homeless 3 times in my life. I was homeless once as a
Wow.
kid when my dad lost his job. We lived in a 1979 brown Chevy Suburban for quite a while. I had to get a job at McDonald's when I was 16 so that we could afford food. And of course, got a job at McDonald's so we get the food from McDonald's. And then I was able to save up enough money to where we could get a hotel twice a week. So instead
Oh,
of
wow.
staying in the truck all week, 2 times a week, I made enough money because you don't make much at McDonald's, especially back in 1986. It was
Yeah.
not much. I think my checks were like 130, 140 bucks or something like that. So there's those experiences that make me go, oh man, I never want to do that. When I got out of the Army, I found myself, I came home, my wife at the time said, asked for a divorce the day I got back. And she talked me out of getting out of the Army to spend more time with him. So here I am, another time when I'm low on funds, getting out of the Army, $386, $386, I think it was. And so I'm walking on the 91 freeway with my duffel bag and my rucksack, and I'm out there, stopped at, ironically, McDonald's again, begging for money. Someone bought me 2 cheeseburgers, and I just took a little bite of those. So that's one thing. As we say prayers a lot before we eat, but every time I eat, I'm like, wow, I thank the Lord, because that was brutal. I hated that. It's so uncomfortable. I don't like sales, period. And there I am out there, begging for food from people. So what that has done for me now is it's just given me a real life's lesson on how valuable we make our time, that anything that we do. So many people take this stuff for granted. So many people
Mhm.
take, their business for granted, and they don't even really think about it. If something happens, they can call family, right? I didn't have that. My brother passed away in 2005. My mom has now passed away. My stepdad, the guy that got us in trouble, went to jail. He passed away. My real dad is still alive today, 89 years old. God bless him. But I don't have that. Like my wife, she has an amazing family. And it's so neat to see that, because we didn't have that kind of close-knit family growing up or anything like that. And I think a lot of people don't understand that, hey, it could be really, really hard for those people that are kind of alone. And
Mhm.
I don't take it any single day for granted. Anything that I do, I don't take for granted. And that's why I'm so motivated to design this category, delegation intelligence, and pass that along. You'll never see a trademark on that. I don't want to trademark it. I want people to adopt it. I want them to use it. I want them to build a system so that they can stay confident in knowing that, hey, they're going to build an amazing life. They're going to build an amazing family, and potentially maybe even be able to gift what it is that they've built and continue it on down the road and give it to family or sell it off for security. It's a big motivator for me. So you asked a question there, and I know I went off on the wheels there, but it's a big, huge, massive thing to me.
We as a couple have gone through some similar things, right? When, I was briefly before we got on the show talking about some of the real estate stuff we do, but there was a moment where, that all disappeared for us, for 5 years, 6 years, where that money just wasn't there. We just kept paying into it to keep it going. When my back surgery happened and we weren't sure if I was even going to survive through it, right? And Like, I can remember the day. I can remember everything that happened that day, and I mean, there's just those moments that they just change you forever, right? And so I appreciate you sharing all of those. Business owners, I think, especially even in their business too, we take a lot of things for granted in business sometimes. So what is it that, when you are working with all these different business owners, what is it that you think that they underestimate when they're trying to grow and to grow their business and to make these changes? What are they underestimating when they're trying to do that?
I think they're underestimating. I don't know if it's underestimating. Well, they may be underestimating all the work that needs to be accomplished for sure. Even if they write it out, and you guys know this, right? Kelly and Sean, you've launched something, it's gone out there and you said, crap, we forgot to do that. Or, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that was going to happen, right? Like that. So you have to factor in the unknown. That's always gonna be there. But I think maybe even a little bit further, one of the things that they don't realize is what I was talking about, that founder's trap. Little tiny things happen and you just kind of brush over it. Okay, don't worry about it. I'll get it done. Let me do it. I'll do it faster. Right? That is the worst mindset you can possibly have as a business leader. And the reason why is because now everything is funneling through you. Everything. All the decisions, they have to come through you. Why? Why don't you have the confidence to delegate this to something else? Or at the very least, start building out your delegation library now. I call it a library, like you, we take videos and you start putting them in there, how to do this, how to do this. And by the way, another helpful hint, we never put more than one task in one video. So, because sometimes people will put all these tasks and the video's an hour long. And now whoever's got to watch that video has got to go fish through it for the one thing that they were looking for on how to do it. So it's really important to name the tasks, right? Like name the task, confirm the task, review and approve the task, and create the signal. It's really important to name those tasks. Create a library, do folders in your Google Drive. It doesn't, it's free unless you have the Google Business, but be really, really clear on that. The reason why, and now I'll go back, but the reason why I bring that up and why it's so important is that when's the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago.
Yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah. When's the second best time to plant a tree? Today, right? It's the same thing with systems and processes. A lot of people don't know that they have to document all this stuff. And I say have to because you have to. It's not a you should. It's you have to do this if, big caveat, if you want to grow a business, right? It has to be documented in a way that is easily accessible, that everybody can understand. And I think that's one thing that most founders, when I say most, I'm like 95% most founders miss. And that's going to come back to bite them in the rear when they start getting real busy, or when the Michael Jordan of the office leaves the team, right? Now, what are we going to do to score? So you got to think about that stuff. And a lot of people don't like doing it. They say it's like nails on a chalkboard. E-Myth, right? E-Myth Revisited. A baker. How do you get someone not to like their passion of baking? Let them start a baking business. Then they're going to hate baking, right?
Yeah.
Unless everything's documented. So again, I sound like a broken record, but I really want to push that home, because if you're going to grow your business and you're not documented your processes, oh man, you're going to find out the hard way that it's going to be really tough to grow. You'll keep repeating yourself.
For sure. So what's something that you believe now about business that you maybe didn't believe earlier in your career? Like, I'm thinking you came from corporate America. You've had a lot of ups and downs. Like, what's something, maybe even it's a mindset, but something that you believe about business that you didn't believe earlier?
Well, believe this or not, when I was a little kid, I remember I was probably 14 or 15. We were coming home from I used to race motorcycles, motocross, and we were coming home from a race, and we were going through downtown Irvine. I'll never forget this. And I looked up at the big sky rises, and I saw one light on, and it must have been 10 or 11 at night. It was a late night. And and I said, man, I wish I could have a corner office. That's what I want to do when I get older. Like, I was real businessy. My stepdad was, a big controller and at a big construction company. And I thought, man, suit, tie. I look at all those guys in the cars and all that stuff. Corporate America taught me how much I don't like that. And be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it. Now I live in a cabin that my wife and I built on 70 acres in the beautiful Ozark Mountains. And
Oh,
I've got Starlink here, so I can talk to you guys. I can still get all my work done. And the second I'm done with the work in here, I go out on the land and do the work. And I have a lot of fun and passion with that. So I've basically designed a life that I love, and I spend it with people that I love most. My beautiful wife is just amazing. And I think that's probably what happened is I thought in my head, I had a picture of what success would look like. And it was so far from what me as a person thought success was after I experienced it. So I kind of had to reimagine, go back to the drawing board and go, what the heck am I doing?
yeah. Yeah, I think that's I know I'm going through my own kind of coaching process right now and starting to figure that out of like, here's the vision I had when I was 30, or 35, and now I'm 47, and and it looks a lot different than it did 10, 12 years ago, right? So it's starting to figure out, well, what do I really want my life to look like the next 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? And it has to be based on what's important to me. And I think it takes a while to sort of get to that point where you start being able to filter out what's important to you versus what society tells you should be important.
Percent. Be real, right? Just be real.
Yeah.
Be real.
Yeah. So for people who are listening right now, and business owners, entrepreneurs especially, maybe they feel stuck or overwhelmed in their business, and I'm sure you've come across people that are in that place with what you do. What do you tell them? How do you help them get started on getting past that?
Brain dumps. That's my go-to. And another way, we do have a free tool. So if it's okay, I'll shamelessly give a little plug.
Yeah.
It's called the Delegation IQ Blueprint. And what's really neat about it is it incorporates AI and all that stuff, but it helps you identify your bottlenecks. You take about maybe 3, 5 minutes, answer 7 questions. You can talk into it, which is better, or you can type. The reason I like when you talk into it is because now your vernacular comes out, and that it's very data rich and data, I forget what you call it. There's a term for it, data enrichment. And you just answer these questions. And what it's going to do is it's going to build a report for you, and it's going to say, okay, this is who you are, so that we understand who you are. These are what your challenges are. These are how you overcome the challenges. These are the role or roles that you can hire to support these challenges so that you can delegate the work. And if you do this, 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 and this in 6 months, this is what your business is going to look like. So it does a really good job of extracting bottlenecks. And then it will, on a side note, will take another report, send that to sales, and it'll say, hey, this is how you need to talk to this person because this is their pain points and this is what they're really having challenges with. So focus heavily there. And then it sends one off to the recruitment team and says, this is the kind of personality this person is. This is the kind of personality we need to match them with. So that has overall increased our length of stay here from 5 months, 670%, from 5 months to 39 months on average. Our
Wow.
average client stays with us for 39 months, and we don't have any contracts. It's month to month subscription based. And then we've reduced our turnover rate from 38.6 down to 8.7. So
Wow.
massive drop in turnover since we started implementing this tool. And basically, we just built this tool around all the questions people always asked us. That's what we did. We just took all those questions and threw them all into this AI pot, with 4 or 5 different pieces of software from AI software, and it really turned it into something nice. So we use that. That's a really good tool when people first come to us or they're looking around. And the nice part about it is they don't need to work with bottleneck. This is going to give them some really good direction. Maybe it's too soon for them. Maybe they don't realize how much work it is when you start growing that team, that, oh my gosh, things are going to be so much easier. Is it? It's actually the first 60 days, and it's been, there's so many studies out there, but it used to be 90 days, but we kind of shrank it down to 60 days now. But the first 60 days, get ready, because you're going to be double working. That's the other mistake that I think founders, EOs, managers make when they make a hire is, yep, here's the manual, read the manual, here's your training, do that. We'll do training for this week and then, we're done, but I can only do it for like 15, 20 minutes a day. That's a major red flag for us. So we find all of this stuff out in advance. And if someone says that to us, we'll either explore an opportunity to work with them based on, hey, this is the life lessons I've been doing this over 2 decades, hired over 1,000 people. I know what I'm talking about on this stuff. And if you go down that road, and you don't want to commit to it, or you don't have enough trust in the beginning to start delegating stuff and giving them access to everything, it's really going to come to bite you in the rear.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that and sharing the tool. And I'm imagining it's probably on your website, right?
It is. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you want
You
to
should
share
be
that real quick?
right there on the top. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bottleneck.online. And
Nice.
you should see it right there where it'll say, check out the delegation roadmap or delegation IQ blueprint.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, what's been one of the most rewarding moments in your journey so far?
Well, besides being on your podcast,
You're so sweet.
well, I think it's the little things. There's been no big, huge moment. It's been a bunch of small wins, small challenges. It was Military Creator Con. I'm a veteran, and I went to Military Creator Con, which is a new kind of event for military veterans and veteran connected creators, and got to meet so many amazing people, had so many great stories. I was fortunate enough to speak, and I did a fireside chat with Christopher Lochhead as a keynote, and we talked about category design. We did a whole day category design intensive, and that stuff just fires me up because we got a standing ovation. I couldn't believe it. And it's just things. See, like that's a little thing that is it's a lot of fun being there and meeting new people and seeing old friends. Oh my gosh, I remember when we did our first work back 12 years. That's kind of neat seeing that come kind of full circle. I wouldn't say there's any one thing right now, but just experiencing life with my wife, my daughter, her daughter, our grandchildren. It's just the whole thing, and that's why, quite frankly, I don't believe in work-life balance. I call it life balance. Because if one of the other things, I was talking about this with Lochhead when we were there, we're like, he's like, yeah, love you, Jamie. And I'm like, love you, Chris. He goes, man, not enough business people say that. And he goes, if you don't love what you do, why are you doing it? So if you're going to be working with people, why not work with people you love? And
Yeah.
quite frankly, I love that. I think it's fantastic. And, I'm a hugger, right? I don't mind that at all. And if I get the chance to work with somebody, like if I reach out to them and call them, I want them to know I'm really reaching out and calling them. I'm not just doing it to like tick off a to-do list. Like I really care. And I think that's something that is it's just kind of culminated from all the little wins and what I've lost and the challenges that I've experienced and all those obstacles that we've overcome and the broken bones and the bruises and the knockouts and all that kind of stuff. It just, it's that old saying, if you fall down, just get back up.
Yeah.
Just get back up. You don't need to do much. Just get up. Right.
Yeah.
And that alone keeps you going. And that's I think that's maybe an answer to your question, Kelly. I'm sorry, but I think that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
thank
awesome.
you.
Appreciate that. And all those things we go through, I think it teaches us how resilient we can be, right? Like, if I made it through this challenge, or that challenge that I just went through, the next challenge will be that much easier, because I made it through whatever was the challenge before. It's just that kind of that checklist of, okay, I made it through that. I can make it through this. I made it through that other thing. Now I can make it through this. It just teaches you how strong you can be.
Yeah. Something of it too is there's the 80-20 rule, 75-25. People think of it that way. But one of the things I think of is it might even be 90-10 because I really love what we're doing. But 80-20 is 80% of the time you're doing something you absolutely love, right? Maybe that's being on a podcast. Maybe it's speaking at an event. Maybe it's, getting written up in Forbes, right? Like those are some really cool things and exciting that come from a lot of hard work. But 20% of the time, you still have to do something, right? You can't delegate out of existence. So there's things that I have to do. I have to hop on sales calls, or I have to look at the books every once in a while with the book. Like, oh my goodness, geez.
Yeah.
I call that the mud trudging. That's the 20%. But the reason I'm so motivated to go in and do those things where I have to really amp myself up for that, because I know I'm going to reward myself for the 80% or the 90% that I really love doing. So I always have something to look forward to. And I think it's a good way that keeps me rocking and rolling.
Awesome. Well, Jamie, this has been a fantastic conversation. Really enjoyed it. How can people find you if they want to learn more about you, your business, maybe if they need help getting some VAs and delegating off some work? How can they get in touch with you?
Well, you can't miss me if you walk by me. I'm 236 pounds, and I usually wear a cowboy hat or a hat and a big beard. So you can find me if you're bumping into me walking around. But if you're not and you're on the interwebs, you can go to bottleneck.online. I launched a new Substack And I give away a lot of this cool information. I was going to do some, the paid, and then I said, nah, I didn't do that. So it's all free. And I wrote, just things about, it's called the Founders Trap. It's a lot of fun. So you can go look at Substack if you're not on there yet. Highly encourage you to do so. It's a pretty fun platform. And then, the Delegation IQ Blueprints, good anywhere on social media. If you like what I talked about today, you can buy my book. It's called Quit Repeating Yourself. And I think it's like 99 cents or something like that but you can buy the book anywhere you go buy books from. And I'd love to chat with you and talk to anybody and answer any questions they have. I'm also really good at just talking and helping you out of problems. If you get into problems like that, it's no high pressure here at all. If you do end up wanting to hire an assistant, oh my gosh, we'd love to support you. But my goal is let's see what we can do to clear the chaos and avoid or escape the Founders Trap.
Awesome. Well, Jamie, thanks so much for your time. Like I said, really enjoyed the conversation. I think there's a lot of good insights here that, a lot of business owners can take away and learn from and apply right away. So appreciate that and your time, and look forward to talking to you again in the future.
Yeah, it's always better together.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.